What's up, gamers? It's me, Lucas G, from the G Bros Gaming channel, and I'm back here in the Advantage. Forgot the name of it, but this is the Advantage Space Shuttle. If you watched my last video, you know it is my new favorite space shuttle. It's a really good space shuttle. Last video we used it to deploy a small satellite, and we're going to be We're going to be taking a different payload up into orbit this time. You'll probably know what it is. You probably know what it is from the thumbnail and title of the video. But for video yes purposes, I am going to act like it's a surprise what's inside those cargo doors. So, if you didn't watch my first video, here's the rundown of the shuttle. It's powered by three KS-25 main engines, filled by an external fuel tank. And the SRBs, oh, by the way, there go the SRBs. The SRBs are two kickback SRBs. Yes. And there is the external tank. And, yeah. For crew, we have Jebediah, Bill, Bob, and Valentina. And Valentina is actually going to be the one that, instead of, I just spoiled it. Okay, forget I just said that. I'm not going to continue it. I'm just going to act. Yes. So, we are exiting the atmosphere now. As you can see, that gauge is going up. And pretty soon we are through. Alright, so I'm going to cut the main engines. We have about... I wasn't able to see it. I'm not sure how much delta V we have remaining. But we're just going to plot the maneuver node. And use auto SAS to get aligned. We have about 384 meters per second left before having to separate this stage. So, let's keep going. Hit the separation node. Cut out the main engine so that the external tank does not hit us. Yep, beautiful separation there. Just going to shut down these main engines. But I'm going to have to end up using that top main engine a couple times during the orbital insertion burn, just to get us a few kicks, because the OMS are the Nerva nuclear engines, and they have abysmal thrust-to-weight ratio. So they're really not good. And while they are efficient and they do get the job done, they do not get it done fast. Which is why I do have to fire up that main engine. And of course, we do have oxidizer, and we do have some oxidizer in those casings for the Nervas, and we have some oxidizer in the anterior fuselage. It's actually a rocket fuel tank. Yeah, you can see me just firing up that engine to get a little kick. And I saw that I was not doing too great, so I had to turn it on again, but I realized I was past my apoapsis, so I really just had to leave it on if I wanted to complete the burn. And, my sanity, and keep my sanity, because this video, in real time, the entire mission took about an hour. And this video is 20 minutes, and it's the completed version with no outtakes, no crashes, and no bloopers. So, yes. So, just completing the orbital insertion burn. I think we are going to run out of oxidizer. I decided here that I was going to keep the engine on for the rest of the burn. There's our periapsis. Check the periapsis. Wasn't it high enough? Got it. 70 meters. And we are good. So, we are now going to, first of all, stop going. We're going to make a quick save. And then slow down this footage. And unveil the payload. Which, if we open up this cargo bay door, is a landing ship. Now, I decided to get Valentina on EVA, because while in the game I could transfer her, through just from the cockpit straight into the lander. I feel like this is a bit unrealistic, and I didn't want to have her cramped up in that lander for the ascent. I wanted her to be up with the rest of the Blunderbirds, because she is going to she's not going to see them again for the rest of the mission, because since I cannot do rendezvous to save my own life, I decided that this would be a direct ascent lander, meaning we will land on the celestial body, which will be minmus. We're going to land on the celestial body, take off from the celestial body, and then land back at Kerbin, and we have a parachute and monopropellant all stocked up in that. We have, why did I say monopropellant? There actually are no monopropellant thrusters on this thing, so I did have to move the entire space shuttle to get it clear. But that command pod does have a heat shield and a parachute on it to return Valentina safely without having to do any rendezvous, because I can't rendezvous to save my life. So separate her from the inside of the cargo bay, and we are going to start plotting the maneuver node for minmus. So yep, just switch to Valentina's ship. Switch to Valentina's ship. Start plotting the maneuver node. So we're simply just going to, I think we're gonna switch back to the minmus lander and eventually plot the maneuver node. I'm not sure. So we're just going to move it around, then use the skip orbit button a few times until we get a minmus encounter. So, yep, there's my encounter. So, I'm going to spare you the pain that was the time warp to the maneuver node, because, spoiler alert, it did take a long time, but, since I do not have hyper-edit in Kerbal Space Program for the Xbox, this was actually done legitimately. So, yeah. So, we are now in orbit around the minmus. I didn't make a quick save, and we're just plotting maneuver node to deorbit ourselves. I know I could just manually do it with retrograde, but I just wanted to be a bit more accurate by using the maneuver node maker. So, eventually, yep, we're going to time warp over to the node, and then begin burning. I'm still holding that nuclear engine stage, and I still have a full tank, a full mid-sized tank. Yep, there goes the burn. I still have a full mid-sized tank and a full mid-sized tank with a Terrier engine with the landing gear on it. So overall, in low Kerbin orbit, this thing has about 3,000 meters per second when it's separated from the shuttle. So, in an outtake / blooper, I did land on a hilly area, which was a problem. And actually, in the distance, you can see that little blue node was actually the Soyuz to minmus flag. But here, this is relatively flat, even though it was on one of those mountains around minmus near the minmus flats. So, separate that stage, shoot it away using the engine wash, time warp down, and get ready for touchdown. So, for propulsive landings, trick is to just use automatic SAS to hold retrograde, and that will angle your engine in a way that will slow you down when you burn. So, we're just going to cut velocity, and this is played at normal speed at this point. The footage is not slowed down. So, we're just going to go and touchdown. Touchdown. Eventually, touchdown. There we go. It did lag out a little bit there. I thought something was going to explode. But in the end, it ended up being pretty okay. Pretty smooth landing. So, we're going to get Valentina on EVA and do the mandatory flag plant. And the flag plant in sandbox mode, the only reason to ever do a manned mission is because you can plant a flag on another celestial body. It's not for science because, you know, it's sandbox mode. But yeah. So we're just going to take the surface sample because in the headcanon we are gathering mint ice cream because that's the whole reason this mission was launched. Actually, the mission was launched to, because, you know, the Kerbal Space Program, the astronaut complex, they were running a little bit low on ice cream. So the Blunderbirds decided they were going to grab the nearest Advantage Space Shuttle, get it ready for launch, and snuggle in a little minmus lander, and go to minmus and harvest some fresh ice cream for the rest of the Kerbals in the astronaut complex. I'm sure they'll all appreciate it. So for minmus ascent, you really have to use the map screen, because if you burn for just a second too long, you'll be on a Kerbin escape trajectory. Not only because minmus's gravity is so low, but also because it's so far out. You're in a really, really high Kerbin orbit. So we're just gonna make a quick save here, because G-forces, when you're entering from minmus, G-forces can really screw you up. So G-forces can really screw you up. So I needed a quick save so that I wouldn't have to go all the way back to the landing phase if I wanted it to try again. And I had to keep the engine stage attached because I need to point retrograde so that I can actually cut some velocity using the engine. Because again, when entering from minmus, G-forces can really, really screw you over. So you want to be going as slow as you can. Slow is, you know, not a great thing to say when you're entering a planet's atmosphere from orbital velocity. But, I mean, slow in the sense that a jetliner is slow. So, we're just going to bleed off the rest of our gas, and hope that the Kraken smiles upon us. Which it did. Because as you can see, by a complete miracle, the capsule did not succumb to the G-forces. Although there was a very, very close call. You can see that gauge on the left. I meant on the right. You can see that gauge on the right really, yeah. But we made it. We're good. So we can put down the chute. And there's time warp down for my sanity and yours. And main chute deploys. And we are nicely going. By the way, Jebediah, Bill, and Bob are still orbiting in the Space Shuttle orbiter. And this was done completely stock, completely with no cheats or hyper edit. And they were all recovered legitimately. Because, of course, I'm playing on console, and I do not have mods like HyperEdit. So, yes. So, we're just going to close up the shuttle's cargo bay, and plot the maneuver node to, first we're going to make a quick save. Shuttle deorbit, I think we called it. Yeah, it sounds good. Okay. Now that we got that out of the... Oh, I made a mistake. Alright, now that we get that out of the way, we shall plot the maneuver node to bring us back down to Kerbin. Now, I'm pretty good at getting an encounter with the KSC, but I would recommend aiming for water, because sometimes high G-forces and high temperatures can mess up your SAS and pitch, yaw, and roll controls. So I would aim for water, because if your craft ends up being uncontrollable, a hard water landing will not hurt as much as a hard land landing. I would really only do a land landing if you know, you have full control over your ship. If not, I would just recommend to splash down, not too violently, but it's not per se a gentle splashdown, or your average splashdown. So we are going to burn and then just time warp around. As you can see, this footage is actually sped up, but as you can see, that the abysmal thrust to weight ratio of the nuclear engines is really taking a while to do that burn. And so yeah, I stopped a bit short because the atmosphere would do some slowing down for me. So we're just going to roll over again to come in at a nice angle and then just time warp down into the atmosphere. So let's go. Oh, and then I realized we were actually pointing in the wrong direction. Oh, no, I was actually. I needed to cut some more velocity, then get pointed in the correct direction. First I tried going radial. First I tried going pointed radial in to create a lot of drag to slow me down. But that just didn't work. So I ended up using automatic SAS to align me radial in, and then just use a stability assist to get the rest of this done. Although stability assist, it wasn't too stable. As you can see by this very graceful and very realistic re-entry path. Yeah. We're just doing this death spin maneuver. That's because lifting bodies in this game don't really work. You can't, it's hard. Especially on 100% re-entry heating because, you know, things get quite toasty in the atmosphere. So, but by some miracle, every part survived. It survived re-entry. I'm not going to say it survived splashdown, which we did actually have to end up doing, because if you can see those purple markers, my SAS freaked out, and now my pitch, yaw, and roll controls are completely messed up. So that's why I aimed for water, because while you are able to see the KSP in the distance, and we could try to fly to it, it's not going to work because of the messed up controls. So we are just going to attempt splashing down on the shores of Kerbin. So I just gave a quick puff from the Nerva, just so that I made sure I wouldn't hit land. And here we go, just going to time warp down to get nice and close for the final approach. Yeah, we are going to be splashing down. So, we're on short final. We're going to pull up a bit because while it is a splashdown and the water will cushion a lot of our fall, it's still a fall nonetheless, and we really don't want to have too much of a violent splashdown. We're going to have a violent splashdown, but we want the splashdown to be as non-violent as we can get it, which is, you know, sort of a stretch, because this is a emergency water crash landing. So let's put down the gear. I do have a drogue chute that will help us slow down a little bit before touchdown or splashdown. So pull up, put out the drogue chute, and pray to the Kraken. Now, we did lag out really, really bad here. I was sitting on this screen for a good 45 seconds. But when the lag spike was done, I looked at the shuttle, and the Kraken smiled upon us. Because it was intact, and the crew was alive. Which means we legitimately completed this mission. So now I can safely say that this was a successful minmus mission, performed with a space shuttle. Of course, that with a space shuttle part is to a stretch, because, you know, the space shuttle does not have a lot of delta V. It only has enough delta V to get to LKO, so we had a separate lander that went down. But we did perform the mission with the shuttle as a launch platform. So, don't know why I'm rambling on about this, but subscribe, like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay, yes.